Hi Geminis, how are my fellow air siblings doing? I hope y'all are doing alright, especially because, as we all know, Mercury is now in retrograde. Sorry your reading is late. I'm an air sign, I'm an Aquarius, and so Mercury retrograde fucks with y'all, fucks with Virgos, and really also messes with air signs in general. So just running a bit behind on things, and I wanted to get all the videos shot before Mercury went into retrograde, and now I'm kind of like, we're in it. Be very careful. Be very, very careful. So let's get into the reading. I want to see how you guys are doing. So yeah, Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius in your sister sign, in your opposing sign. So what's up with that? What's going on? That Gemini supermoon was pretty awesome. 5 of machetes. By the way, I'm using a new deck. This is called the Ghetto Tarot, and it was created by, it was a collaboration between this woman, Alice Smeets, who is like, I think she's a Northern European photographer. She's from Northern Europe, and she does beautiful photography. She also reads cards herself. And she went to Haiti and collaborated with a group of Haitian artists and created this photographic interpretation of the Rider-Waite deck. So all the images are these photos, and they're all Haitian artists, all Haitian actors. Even the props that are in you know, in all the photos were made by Haitian artists. Super glad to see this deck. Super glad to see a deck that challenges and pushes ideas of what we've normally seen in tarot decks. I'm just glad to see some black folks on a fucking tarot deck. Like, I appreciate that. So let's see what's going on. So I already pulled the first card. So the first card out, 5 of machetes. So in this deck, they're called machetes. And then the wands are called brooms. Everything else is the same. Let me move this back a little bit. So 5 of machetes, 5 of swords. So who is trying to get the upper hand on you? Who's trying to think that they can like fake you out? Who's trying to think that they can fake you out? Someone thinks that they can fake you out, or that they can have the upper hand on you, or that they can deceive you, or that they can lie to you. Someone thinks that you're dumb and that they can just kind of take advantage of you, or they realize that you're a Gemini and you're not stupid, you're an air sign, right? And that you're actually very intelligent. One of my friends, Kim, she's an Aries sun lover, and she's a Gemini moon. And any room that she and I will go into, anywhere, we work together with a bunch of men, a bunch of grumpy, salty-ass men. And every room that she and I would walk into, she was the smartest person in the room. I will defer to her information, whatever information she has to give, anytime. Like, she's very intelligent. And, you know, because we work in an environment where there's, like, a lot of men and a lot of, like, big macho men, and we're both intelligent women, right? Like, there is this need to kind of, like, undermine or underhand, right? Like, undermine us. So I kind of get the feeling that that's what's happening, that, like, you're sort of in a position or in a situation where you're, like, dealing with people who they think that you can't see what they're doing, but you're like, I can see exactly what you're doing, and you think that you can undermine my intelligence, or you think that you can kind of take advantage of this innocence that I have, this sort of childlike innocence that I have with me, this curiosity, right? This niceness that I have with me, like, I'm super nice. Someone's lying. Or this could be you, thinking that you can take advantage of other people in the situation. So let's see what else is coming out, because yeah, there's definitely somebody, is it an Aries? There's this Emperor card just popped out. So somebody is really trying to exert power over you, and they're doing it through mental, I don't want to say like mental warfare, because that's like really strong language, but like I'm getting this, like, mental games are being played. There's totally a power struggle happening between you, maybe with another air sign, maybe an Aquarius, because I know that there's been a lot in the last couple of years that's been going on between Geminis and Aquarius, and it's like we try to manipulate each other. in all these different ways, and it's just like, we need to just stop. Like, we need to just cut it out. So maybe you and another air sign, you and a Libra, you and Aquarius are trying to, and I think air signs in general have been in this sort of zone of trying to manipulate one another a lot recently. That's just been my experience. That's been my experience a lot, especially when I've encountered other Geminis. That there's been, you know, some games that get played, right? This like game of who can manipulate who first on a mental plane. Page of Pentacles. Maybe you're fighting, maybe you're kind of battling it out for the affection of another person. But let's see what's coming out, because I'm not really getting relationship too much. I'm getting like that there's some power struggles happening. And I feel like a lot of you, it's affecting your sense of worth. It's affecting how you're viewing yourself. It's like you've put a lot of effort. You've put a lot of energy into trying to like win this battle, or in trying to sort of defend yourself against this person. And it's really kind of affecting how you're seeing yourself right now, right? It's really affecting how you're seeing yourself with regard to your intelligence, or it's like affecting how good you feel, like how secure you feel in your Gemini self, right? So let's see what else is coming up for Geminis for December 2017. Ace of Cups. Yeah, it's affecting you emotionally, and I do feel that like this is a situation that does involve love. I want to get more I want to get more cards out first, but this Page of Pentacles here is showing up next to the Ace of Cups. So yeah, you need to cut out whatever the situation is with this five of machetes, this Five of Swords. So let's look at the cards thus far. Look at these awesome photos. I like this photographic interpretation of the tarot deck, of the Rider-Waite deck. I think it's awesome. So we have the Ace of Cups showing up next to the Page of Pentacles. So I feel like maybe one scenario, right? Because there are always different scenarios that come to mind that I feel intuitively, right? So it's like there could be there's a power struggle that's occurring between you and either a fire sign, right? This Aries here, or another air sign, right? And it could be like you are in sort of like a third party situation, or you're in a situation where there is like an earth sign, right? There is, you know, there's an earth sign, and like maybe this emperor is stepping on your toes, or like there's kind of like a mental game going on to win over the affections of like this earth sign here, to like have a relationship with them. Give me 1 second. My coffee pot is overflowing. Sorry about that. So yeah, like I said before, a struggle or a mental, there's like a lot of mind games that are occurring between you and another person in general. And it could be over, you know, it definitely could involve love, right? And how you're seeing yourself, how you're valuing yourself in your intimate and romantic relationships. We have Mercury going retrograde in Sagittarius in your 7th house, right? So there's once again a lot of reflecting, as if you haven't had enough reflection with Saturn having been there for like the last 2 or 3 years, right? And I think even longer than that. No, about 2 or 3 years. But I do feel that you're recognizing, like, what are the games that I've played? Like, what are the power struggles that I engage in my relationships? And, like, how are you seeing yourself truthfully in that light, right? Because Sag is all about truth. Sag is all about exposing truth, becoming very in touch with, like, our highest self. And if we're not at our highest self, what is getting in the way of us getting there? And so I feel that, like, whatever manipulative right? Whatever manipulative sort of lower energy games you're playing with this Five of Swords, and like recognizing that that's sort of like a power dynamic that you've engaged in a lot, right? Like doing the most, or really sort of exerting a lot of mental and psychological energy to sort of overpower or to have power over people's perception of you in love. Like, I feel like that stuff, like you're coming to a realization, and this is the Death card. Look at how awesome that is. So I feel like there's kind of a transformation or a rebirth that's happening, or maybe the situation is coming to an end, right? Like maybe you're recognizing like, I'm playing all these mind games with these people, or this person is playing with me. Like, I'm done with people playing with me. Because it can go both ways. It can also be that you, as a Gemini, are tired of people playing games with you, and are tired of people thinking that they can overpower you because you're a Gemini, or because they think, oh, like, look at this innocent sort of archetype here. I can do whatever I want. Like, you can't. And you're beginning to really value what it is that you have to offer romantically. You're beginning to really value and sort of fill up your cup, right? Like, it's like we have this cup within all of us. We have this cup within all of us, right? Our emotional, our heart center, our emotional sort of reserves, right? And we have a certain amount that is reserved for us and for us only. And then once this cup, which represents sort of like our heart center, our emotional reserves, once this cup is filled, then whatever overflows from this cup, we can then give the rest, like give that overflow, give that surplus away to people. But when we start to give from this cup in and of itself, then we begin to really run ourselves dry. We begin to really, you know, deplete ourselves of this heart center, of this emotional heart. Like we begin to really kind of, we're taking from a place that's only reserved for us and for us only. So I feel that a lot of you are beginning to recognize the value, right, of keeping your cup full for yourself. That yes, you may want to give, and you may want to sort of take some of that out and give to other people, but it leaves you feeling exhausted, because this guy's exhausted. He's tired of playing these games. He's tired of it, but he's doing it anyway. There's like a part of him that's like, this is what I have to do to succeed. And you should never have to do that to succeed in anything. It's not success. It's a fucking, it's a lose-lose. It's an empty victory. It's not really success. So let's see what else is going on for Gemini. So I definitely get a sense that like this sort of dynamic that you've been experiencing in your 7th house sector is coming, like you're beginning to observe it. You're beginning to recognize all the ways in which you've been manipulated and the ways in which you have been manipulated, and like the power dynamics either between this person who you really put on a pedestal for a long time, right? And really gave a lot of power to, and you're just like, no, like there's a realization, right? And it's the beginnings of a realization. It's the beginnings of this observation of like, what's my worth? What's my value? More messages for Gemini for December 2017. More messages for Gemini for December 2017. Yeah, I feel like you just kind of wanted what this person had, essentially. Or like, a lot of you are definitely transitioning into a period of feeling really independent, into a period of feeling like, I don't even really, like, yeah, I can talk to this person or that person, or I can, like, do this or that, but I'm actually really enjoying my independence, right? Like, this person, this page is observing this pentacle as it represents and symbolizes their self-worth, right? And it's like there's kind of this multiplication, this exponential growth in the value of self, and really feeling independence. This is the 9 of Pentacles, right? Look how independent she's on her own. She's doing her thing. She's in abundance, and the abundance didn't come from a partner. The abundance didn't even really come from a job. The abundance come from the inner knowing of her own wealth. And I feel like this person, this emperor, was trying to strip you of that. Was trying to keep you from really being able to experience this feeling of independence and was utilizing manipulative tactics to kind of keep you under their thumb. Right, I think we did talk about a fire sign. Yeah, no more. You're done. We did talk about a fire sign last month moving in and that there was some fear around that, right? And I think for some of you, maybe that fear turned in, because when we have all of this fear, right? When we have all of these hangups and all of these beliefs and ideas that things are going to kind of turn to shit, and then they do. For some of you, that situation with that fire sign could have become slightly, could have, you know, transferred all of that fear and that buildup of, all those hangups, like that buildup of holding back, that buildup of being fearful of stepping into something, right? Could have then turned into like mind games, or could have turned into some sort of game plan that then kind of, you know, then grew and developed into now these very extreme mind games and power plays, power struggles, right? That sometimes when we're in our fear, right, when we're in our hangups, when we're in this space of being trapped and held and in bondage to our own unrealized fears about things, that then we actually invite things like this energy in. Then we invite game playing, right? Because then it's like one person shuts down, then the other shuts down, then it's a game of like, who can act like they don't give a fuck the most, right? Who can act like they don't care the most? And that's notorious for air signs to do, is that we're really good at really liking you and then acting like we could care less. We're really good at that. Because we're smart and we know that, well, if I act in this way, then that's going to get this other person to be like, well, where did they go? Right? Like that kind of like reverse psychology thing. And if you're watching this for a Gemini who's doing that, don't fuck with it. Because, you know, like, just because you can do it doesn't mean that, like, you need to, right? Like, just because, like, we have the capacity as air signs to act like we don't give a fuck, or, like, we're detached, or, like, we really like you, but we're going to pretend that we're not, even we pretend that we don't like you, like, even though we can do that, it's not a good thing to do. Like, it's not a nice thing to engage in. It's not the makings or the markings of a partner who is emotionally honest. Right? And with this Ace of Swords, this Ace of Machetes, I feel like there's new understandings. There's new light, right? On what keeps you in bondage in your relationships. On what keeps you sort of tied to the same dynamic that has really nothing to do. And I told Aquarius this, like, it's not the relationship that's the same, it's you that's the same. You are showing up in the relationship the exact same way and you're expecting different results. That is the definition of insanity. So until you change and you learn how to cut yourself free from this energy, you are going to experience the same thing over and over and over and over and over again until Saturn says, you're done, you got it, all right, next lesson. Or you can stay stuck learning the same lesson over and over and over again. Right? Like, this person sort of thinks they're a victim, but they're really not. This person thinks all of these things are happening to them, but they're really not. Like, all she has to do is really try to get one of those swords and cut herself free, and then she can see things clearly. I want to clarify this Death card. Actually, let's clarify this Emperor. I want to clarify this Emperor and find out more about this Emperor. Can I get more clarification on the Emperor, please? Clarification for the Emperor. The Empress. It could be a Taurus. It could be someone who nonetheless you're very attracted to. Yeah, there are definite power plays happening here. And this is somebody who, like, knows how to play it both ways, who knows how to exert power, and who also knows how to get things to come to them. Because this is Mars, this is Venus. This is Aries, this is Taurus. Mars, Venus. Mars, action-oriented, asserting self-will, domineering, dominating. Venus. Attractive, passive, gets what they want, law of attraction, mastermind. So you're dealing with somebody who actually can utilize and work with power in a way that they can exert power and in a way that they can passively use power as well to get what they want. Let's clarify the Death card. Can you clarify the Death card for me? So who got this card? I think Taurus got this card also. Like, so with this death, right, of these old games comes new opportunities, comes something new wants to come in. Something new wants to come in. I feel like whatever the situation is with this Five of Swords and this Emperor/Empress person, they're very powerful, but the fact that they are next to this Five of Swords lets me know that like either you or them or both of you together are playing a lot of games, and that both of you are trying to out-manipulate one another, and it's depleting you. It's depleting you of your worth. It's depleting you of how you're seeing yourself. It's depleting you of, you know, your reserves, right? Your cup. But that there's something new that wants to come in. There's some new, fresh energy, possibly new work that you need to focus on, new ideas, new projects that you actually really need to focus on, and not spend a lot of time worrying about, or spend more time worrying about this and worrying about what's going on here. I do want to clarify this Page of Pentacles. Can I get clarification for the Page of Pentacles? Can I get more information on the Page of Pentacles? Why is this Page of Pentacles? The High Priestess. High Priestess. So yeah, I feel like this is you getting in touch with a higher vibration of yourself, recognizing your highest self, recognizing the wants and needs and the emotional, right? Like the emotional needs of your highest self. There's a coming to recognize, like, I'm not, like, if you're not operating in your highest self, how do I get there? Like, I see the value of being there and getting there. So I see a lot of you definitely recognizing and taking the time to value and really observe and get to know, well, what is it that my highest self wants and deserves and needs? What is it? I do feel like new things are coming in for you guys. And it feels like a lot of you are like really tired because you keep having to go through all these different people. Like you keep having to go through dating all these different people that really aren't great matches for you. But in doing so and going through all the different going through all these different prospects, right? You're coming to build a very clear idea of what it is that you want. You're building a very clear idea of what it is that you want, and you're doing so in a place of feeling actually more secure with yourself, right? And therefore more secure with rejection, more secure with things not working out, right? Like you're not so bent out of shape when someone dumps you or when you dump somebody else, because it's like, well, yeah, I mean, that's just how it is, right? Like you're not so fixed on the idea that like this person needs to like work out for me, or like I'm so tired of going through all of these different kinds of people. When am I going to meet somebody that can just, and it's like not about that energy. It's about like, you know what? I'm actually really cool right now with myself and where I'm at. I'm very clear about what I want and do not want. Very clear about what I want and do not want. Like, I've broken through the bullshit. I've gone through all of these different situations, right? And I'm breaking free from allowing those situations to, one, dictate my worth and my wealth. Like, my wealth, my idea of who I am, my sense of value and validation is coming from a higher source now. It's coming from a more connected source, right? So I feel like this is good for you all in the sense that you're getting a more clear idea of what you do and don't want in relationships, right? Like, what you are not willing to sort of put up with in relationships anymore. And I feel like a lot of you had to get to this point to where you just were like, nope, next, nope, next. Like, you just need to know when. Like, you have a very clear idea now of what you want. So, you know, and this person that's coming in, they may not work out either, right? But you don't have to, like, it's about, you don't have to stay stuck, right? They could also really work out, and it could be really great. Like, this could be, you know, what you get to experience after going through the transformation of having Saturn in your 7th house, right? Now you get to really experience a stable, long-lasting union because you figured it out. So let's get an outcome card for Gemini for December 2017. Outcome for Gemini for December 2017. Outcome for Gemini for December 2017. Temperance. Yeah. I feel like a lot of you have learned to really value and have patience when it comes to, this would also be Sagittarius coming in, right? But I do really feel this speaks to a lot of you. Like, yes, I want a relationship, but I'm not going to fall for the first person that comes my way. Or I'm not going to, like, I'm going to suss you out a little bit. Like, I'm going to take the time to get to know you and to feel out this connection and to really feel the energy that's going on between us. Really feel out the energy. Because as soon as it begins to feel like this, you need to cut it off. Cut it off with this sword here. Cut it off. So I feel that a lot of you are, like, learning how to really take your time and not just jump into one thing or jump from one thing to the next, right? Like, what is it that you really want? What is it that you need? You've got Mercury retrograde happening in your 7th house. So don't rush into anything. Don't rush into anything, and be very mindful of, like, weird, fucked up communication with people that's not clear, that seems manipulative, because it probably is. And you need to cut through that shit. So, Geminis, that's your reading. Sorry, the light is getting a little intense. That's your reading for December, and I hope that it resonates with some of you. And I will see you all in January. All right, bye, Geminis.